Hold up one second. All right, now we're ready. Let's dive into it. How I trained for my second ever 50K, and I just started running less than 1 year ago. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is a different type of video than what I traditionally post here, or the majority of what I post. But if you refer back a couple of videos or a couple weeks ago, you understand why. I literally don't care, and I'm going to be posting whatever I want on this channel because why not? This, I think, could help people because I think this is something that maybe someone will look up on YouTube one day and be like, oh, you know, here's a guy who wasn't a runner and now kind of is, but, you know, what did he do? So at least I can go over my protocol, my plan, and there's really three parts. Training, nutrition, and there's a miscellaneous piece. There's like, I don't know what you want to call those things. Supplements, not necessarily supplements, but like supplements to the training and nutrition that have gotten me, I mean, I feel, knock on wood, I feel fucking amazing. Dialed in, like we're ready to go. It's a couple days out from the race. It's Monday when I'm filming this. The race is on Saturday, and I probably won't post this video till either, it might get posted on the day that I do the race or like a couple days after because I'll be away. So I figured, you know, I might as well post it. We won't have any live streams, won't be any other videos on the channel, so I'll be kind of just dead. So I'll post it then. But yeah, when you're watching this, it's very likely that I have already finished, hopefully, I guess. There's no guarantee that I will finish. Hopefully, I'll have finished my second 50K ever. And when I say that, 50K is like 31 miles roughly, and they're all, you know, 30, 31, 32, somewhere in that range. And I'm doing this on trails. I have not done a road race necessarily. I guess I did like a turkey trot back in middle school. You know, it was my only road race. It was like a mile. But yeah, I've never done something, well, until like a couple months ago, something like this. And so I started training for this less than 1 year ago. Coming up on 1 year, it's, you know, end of February now. And so we're coming up on the 1 year anniversary of when I really got, you know, into my training and started running more consistently. So my background really isn't very extensive. I have primarily been lifting weights, and that has pretty much gone on since junior of high school to varying, well, I don't want to say to varying degrees of intensity. Ever since then, I think I've been locked and loaded, and lifting has been a priority. Always kind of fighting that, you know, social media, you know, projection of what you think you could look like or what you think you should look like versus what you actually look like, especially being someone who's natural, has never taken testosterone and all that, you know, crap that a lot of people in the fitness industry who are healthy, you know, take to look a certain way. That said, I think I also almost utilized that the past couple of years to limit the potential, to limit what I think I could do naturally, right? To limit the physique goals you have naturally. There's a lot of time left, I think, of my prime. I'm 25. I think I have a good 10 years that I could put on like some really solid muscle and put on some, or continue to have great progress as long as I'm taking care of my body, which we're gonna get into that here. So the three pieces: training, nutrition, and there's a miscellaneous piece. When it comes to training, what did I do for this? This has been a standard, and this has been a protocol that I've been, I don't know, it's called protocol. If I can sound, who do I sound like? Andrew Huberman? Like, come on. The training regimen that I've had is lift 4 days, run 3+. So if you do the math, 4 days here and 3 days there, that's 7 days. You don't take a rest day? Yeah, I don't take a rest day. A rest day is an easy run day. You know, that's how I view it. And to be honest, these days, like the way I feel right now, yesterday was a Sunday. I ran 4 miles, and I felt like I was missing something. Like didn't feel like enough. You know what I mean? So when you get to a level of fitness, you know, that's a recovery. That's a rest day. It feels like that because I'm just used to doing it. So when you start from scratch and from nothing, yeah, like it's, you know, 4 miles might sound like a lot, and that might hurt you after, you know, doing that a couple of weeks in a row, you know, a couple of days of 4 miles. Holy shit, that's a lot. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend you just go from 0 to that. Like I didn't do that. So you're not going to just go right to that. You build there over time. Now, I ran my first 50K back in November of 2023. And that 50K was in Austin. It was northwest Austin, Texas, like an hour and a half outside of Austin, Texas. And it was on like a ranch. And it was about 3,000 feet of elevation gain, I think, something like that. And it was 3 loops around a 10-mile course, roughly. And the problem that I had with that is like, it just really wasn't super scenic. It was kind of cool, right? You know, someone different, you know, it was your first ultra, cool. but I don't really consider that, or I don't really see myself doing that a lot going forward in loop courses. Maybe, here and there, but running for me is not about times. It's not about how fast you can run. It's not necessarily about how far you can run necessarily, although I do want to experiment and see how far I could run. But I think it's more about where you're going to go and the places you can see, and you can kind of use and parlay running and the kind of enjoyment of being outside and almost torturing yourself at the same time, together, which is kind of cool, right? Or maybe not cool to most people. So lifting 4 days a week, and what I do for my lifts is pretty straightforward. I have 2 push day, or I have a push and a pull day, and I do those twice. So I essentially hit every muscle group twice in a week, and I do not have insane high volume. I don't. I used to when I would not run, but now I don't. So my lifting is pretty straightforward. I'm in there for 45 minutes to an hour, max an hour. And what I do is I have about 6 to 7 exercises on each day. And there is legs involved on both days. There's upper body involved on both of those days. And so one is more pushing focused. So think chest press, think some shoulder press. We're gonna get some triceps in there. We're gonna get some leg press in there. We're gonna get calves in there. So we're pushing. That's kind of our focus. And then the other, I guess you can call it calves, depending on how you're situated. You can think of it as a pull, like pulling up, whatever. But I put those on push days. Then a pull day, and on pull days we have kind of a hamstring curls or RDLs, something along those lines. I'll go back and forth. When I say that, one second, I'll explain, how I don't fuck around with that stuff, was what I'm trying to get to. And then we have leg extensions, even though that's not really like a pull. I love leg extensions on those as well. So we're hitting that stuff, as well as pull-ups, pull-up variations, machine pull-downs, so we can progress, all that type of stuff. Biceps here and there. Not here and there. Biceps is an exercise involved, and then rear delts is a big one on pull days that I've really been focusing on lately, and I'm pumped with how I feel so far about it. But what I was getting at with that is I don't mess around with those things. I am constantly looking to progress. So if I hit the leg press and I usually do one leg at a time, because I like to kind of go one at a time. This way I'm not, I know for sure that the muscles here are doing all the work, versus like here, you can kind of put a little bit more on the left side without realizing it. Same with a bench press. I do dumbbells because I don't like to have, I want to have the consistency on both sides. I pretty much stay with dumbbell work when I can. So in all of those lifts, I am progressing in each of those, or I'm trying to progress week after week. And how I'm progressing is either adding a rep or two, or really now at this point, it's a rep, right? I'm not adding 2. I'm not going to go out and do, 85 incline dumbbell bench for 10 and then come back next week and do 12. Like, it's a very low chance that I'll be able to do that. Maybe I will if I'm feeling really fired up. I don't take pre-workout. All these workouts, by the way, are like at 6, 7 a.m. So they're fasted, whether that's a good or bad thing. I don't really care. That's what works for me. And then I eat at like 8. So that's what I do. But we're progressing. So whether it's adding a rep, adding some weight, we're trying to progress. And on my phone, I have a notes app where I take this with me to the gym every single time. I have it pulled up right here from today's workout, and I literally track and log all of my lifts. And then if I increase the weight or the reps, I'll go in and I will add and I will change the numbers, so that this way next week I know, hey, this is what I did last week or last workout, and now I can come back in and nail it again and see if I can progress. If I can't, or if it was really hard, I'll put a note saying, hey, this is really hard, pretty much. Let's try to focus on the same weight, same reps, but let's control it a little bit better and focus on the form a bit better. And that's kind of how it's been going. So I don't mess around when it comes to that stuff. That is a standard that's there in the background. If you followed my Instagram, which I recently started posting a lot more on because I think it's fun, and I also have thought to myself the past couple months, like, I really want to document more so that I have stuff to look back on for myself, not even for anybody else necessarily. It doesn't matter. I want to look back on it myself, and whether I post on Instagram or not, I'm taking more videos, taking more pictures, just so I can remember the moments and the things that I'm doing. But either way, I do like a lot of the stuff on there is like running focused, because I'm not in the gym with the fucking tripod. I'm not doing that. I don't think my gym even allows that. So you're not going to get any gym content like that. So I don't really care. It doesn't matter, but that's a standard. So if you were to follow that stuff and see, oh, this guy, all he does is run, that's actually not even remotely the case. I do lift 4 times per week, 45 minutes to an hour, and I focus when I'm in those sessions. Like, we're focused and we're dialed in and we're getting it done. Like, that's how it's getting done. Then when it comes to running, 3 times per week. So I usually try to do a longer run in there on the weekends. And then on Tuesday, Thursday, it's kind of how the split works out. Tuesday, Thursday, I will do treadmill work. Now, that's eventually going to change to running outside. The problem I have right now is that if I were to run outside, I don't really have a place right now that I can run outside, that I found a good loop or a good place that's lit up at that time of day, because it's dark. When I get up to go to the gym, it's dark. So I'm like, you know what? Let's go treadmill. We can just go treadmill, and we can get in 45 minutes to an hour on the treadmill. And that's what I do. 45 minutes to 1 hour on the treadmill twice a week, and then I'll add in a weekend run, and that will usually be a longer run. That will also potentially be a mountain run. So there's a mountain that's like 25 minutes away from where I live, and if you do the whole, it's like a 5-6 mile loop. If you do the whole thing, you get in, a really good amount of elevation gain. It's rocky. It's a lot of fun, ups and downs, like some steep inclines, some steep declines. So it gets a lot of like trail. It's really just trail running. It gets a lot of trail work in, which I love. So I do that on the weekends a lot as well, or I try to make sure that's a priority. Or sometimes I'll run the greenway nearby, and I'll just get in, a larger amount of miles. Depends upon how I'm feeling. I'll mix it up. I don't really care. It's not a big deal. But when I have a race coming up with a lot of elevation gain, yeah, you bet I'm going to be doing the elevation work on the Saturdays. Now, you might think that's not a lot of training volume. That's not a lot of running. Yes, some people, when they run marathons, they run 50, 60, 70, 80 miles a week, right? You're like, how can this guy possibly get a 50K, which is more than a marathon? How can he possibly get the training volume in 3 days? Well, not all the time do I run 3 days. That's a standard. That's what I do no matter what. This past couple of weeks or months, I have added in a couple of 2 days where I would run the morning, and then I'd run the afternoon a couple miles. So I would add a couple of those in, or I would lift in the morning and then I'd run in the afternoon a couple of miles. Not a lot of miles, just a couple miles, just to get a couple extra miles in, and that's it, like 3-4 miles max, like that's it. So I'll add some volume that way, and I find that that's a way to put a little bit less stress on the body, help me recover a bit better. Okay, and I'll get to recovery in a second, because that comes into kind of like the miscellaneous piece. So that's kind of how it goes. And yeah, a lot of the training sessions, the treadmill sessions are like zone 2, whatever that means to you. But I try to keep my heart rate, for me, zone 2 estimate is like 155. I don't want to have my heart rate above 150. So I keep my heart rate under 150. I try to keep the average under that for the majority of the run, or for the entire run on the treadmill. And so I just adjust the treadmill accordingly. And what I've done over the past couple of months is I've been able to run faster at lower heart rates, which is just building that fitness, building that base. And so now I'm able to hit, whatever the speed is, and I'm able to run, more miles in less time, essentially. So that's kind of how that works. And that'll slowly progress over time, but very, very slow and not a big deal. Now, next, let's get into nutrition. So nutrition is a huge piece that people don't really think too much about. And you see a lot of people who, in the trail community or running and stuff, they'll have like sugary stuff, or they'll have like, hey, I'm running so much I can eat whatever I want. To a degree, I feel that, but I really dislike that approach. Like, I really dislike it a lot. If I was running 2 or 3x the volume that I was, there may have to be kind of a give and take, in terms of the quality of food that you're getting. But I don't really feel like I need to do that. So I don't count calories, A, but B, I just aim for 150 grams of protein or more in a given day. That's it. Simple. I keep it very, very simple. So all I know is that every meal, I got to be getting 30 plus grams of protein in. If I'm not going to be on track. And I don't eat 7 meals a day. I eat breakfast at like 8 after the workout. I have lunch around noon, roughly. Sometimes I'm hungry before that. Sometimes I'm busy. I'm doing stuff so I can eat at 1, whatever. Depends on the schedule, but that's roughly the plan. And then I have maybe a snack in the afternoon, 3, 4, and then I have dinner around 6 or 7. And then I go to bed at like 9:30 or 10 o'clock. I'll just say 10 o'clock because I get up at 6. So 10 to 6 is the time. Some days I get in bed earlier. Some days I get in bed later, but it averages out to be about 10 o'clock. And hopefully I'm in bed before 10. That's the game plan. That's the goal. So I keep it simple, but I prioritize better quality whole foods, less ingredients in my food, the better. So I'm not going to be eating a ton of just random shit and hoping that my body can take that and be good. I like to be regular if you know what I mean, because last thing you want is to be on a run or be training and like have stomach problems or have this. It's like it's just annoying. It's like, why am I? It's stupid. So like, why am I gonna make myself feel shitty when I don't have to? That's my approach. So I've been having a lot of carbs, that's for sure. I'm not against carbs, not against fat, not against anything. I love it all. I love it all, but just quality, right? So don't be eating sugar when I'd prefer not to be eating brownies when I could have toast or sourdough toast that I made, which is a whole other thing. Maybe that's a video for it. Maybe that's an Instagram thing. I don't know. If you've seen that, I recently started making sourdough bread from scratch. And it's like, 2-3 ingredients. It's very, very simple because a lot of the breads, I love bread. But when you go to the store and buy bread, it's like enriched this. There's 1,000 ingredients because they got to keep it on the shelves. And so I'm like, how can I make this a little bit better? Well, I can just make my own and I control what I put in. So organic this, organic that. I can put organic flours. I can have the starter that, essentially like ferments or whatever you want to call it on myself. I can do it all myself. So I started doing that, and I'm planning to, for the next big training block, as I incorporate more carbs, maybe even some more, carbs pre-workout, because I'm going to need to on some bigger runs. My plan is to start making a couple loaves a week, chopping them up, cutting them up nicely, freezing them, and then using that and pulling them out when I need to. And again, I know I control the nutrition. I control what's going into that. There's no extra sugars and other flavorings and shit that's going in. It's just like salt and flour and water. Like, it's pretty straightforward, and I control it. So that's nutrition. Not a lot. I can go into that. I know this channel probably does not, like, this is kind of random, right? But I'm going to make the video anyway. I could probably talk about this stuff for days. Like, this is, if you ask me where my like passions are outside of trading and stock market and stuff, which is, kind of a separate thing, this is huge. This is like absolutely massive. This is like all I think about all the time. So let's get to the miscellaneous, and then we'll wrap it up, because I don't want to, this is going to be way too long. Stretching and rolling is one thing that I have done pretty much every single day. And I say pretty much, not both, but at least one of the two. Stretching has been something that I've been doing every night for 15 minutes before bed, roughly. And then rolling out as well recently. So rolling my legs, hamstrings, the calves, rolling out even the front of my legs. So think about some of the muscles on the lower part of your leg, under the knee, inside and outside. Those muscles, when it comes to shin splints, can be really annoying. They can act up. And I've had some problems, especially as you increase the mileage. Even though I might feel good, everything else, my shins might not. So rolling out has been huge for that. It's seemingly helped pretty nicely. Stretching is also something that I have neglected for many, many years. The past 6 months or so, I have really started to focus on a lot more. And I'm not seeing amazing, drastic results, but I can certainly, go past my toes in terms of stretching down, which is something that, go back a couple of years ago, I could not even reach my toes when I would bend down to stretch. So I'm getting better, and I don't think it hurts. Sauna, ice bath type of stuff. People always get into this stuff. I have access to a sauna, so I try to do that as much as possible, which is great. 15 minutes, 180 plus degrees is awesome, and I sweat it out. I think that's also been huge in my cardiovascular fitness. You want to call it? No, I don't call it training. I don't know how it'll affect me heat training wise. It's not the summer yet, so we'll see how that goes in the summertime if I'm going to get better with that. But I'm getting used to sweating more, and so my body's just kind of adapting to that, which is good. I don't have access to an ice bath. I guess I could make one, but I haven't. But when I did test it out, my brother and I, we were away for a little bit of a family trip in Tennessee a couple months, about a month and a half ago. And the house we were staying at had a sauna and an ice bath. So, or not an ice bath, it had a pool. Okay, and in Tennessee, in the mountains of Tennessee, it gets cold. So it was like 25 outside, and the pool was, open. So we're like, well, let's just jump in the pool, and then let's go in the sauna. So we did the kind of like the contrast therapy a couple times. I have to tell you, the next day during it, I felt great. That stuff felt great. I don't know if it works. All I know is I felt really good. Then our whole family kind of got sick afterwards, except us. And we're like, I don't know what we did, but we somehow, avoided it. And we were the only two that did the sauna and cold plunge. Like, we did like 4 rounds of it. So I'm sure it works, but I sauna as much as possible. I feel like it helps in terms of sweating. So I'm getting used to kind of the heart rate going up again. It's just getting 15 minutes and then it brings it right back down after I get out. And also the blood flow to help recover, I think is also, there's a lot of scientific studies that tell you that that's a good thing. So that's something that I do as well. I don't know if I missed, oh yeah, back to the bedtime. I have been also, trying to get 8 hours of sleep pretty much every single night. And I feel great when it comes to that stuff. Sometimes tossing and turning. I have noticed that eating too close to bed, definitely a negative on sleep. I've just noticed it. I never really thought about it, but now I'm like, I had a bad night of sleep 2 nights ago, and I'm like, yeah, I had, like a freaking, we made some homemade pizzas, and I made, I took down like a freaking entire pie myself at like 8:30 at night and went to bed at 10. Like, yeah, like I didn't really have much time to digest that, so I didn't sleep very well. Just all the little things that kind of add up, but overall, my running and training and all this stuff, I feel like I'm in a much better spot. Am I running more? About the same in terms of my volume. I've been more consistent. I'm less injured going into this than I was the last one in terms of kind of like the ups and downs and stuff. I also got COVID right before the last 50K that I did. So that maybe played a role. But now I know a lot more going in. And I don't think that you need to be training and running 1,000,000 miles a week. I don't. I physically don't. Max, I'm up in the 20s and 30s. Max, not even 30s. I'm in the 20s, per week in terms of mileage. But that paired with strength training, paired with everything else, I think my body's in a good spot. And if I was to go up into the 30s, in terms of mileage per week, I would likely get shin splints. I'd likely have an injury. So I'm going to slowly kind of push that up as I build that fitness, and I can now run more, run a little bit faster at lower heart rates. And then I can slowly take on that volume, but I'm not in a rush to get there. It's kind of my approach. That is everything that went into it. There'll be a race recap video. I'll have a ton of insane footage. I can't wait to share that footage. I plan to at least. Insane footage from the race. Insta360 camera, drone shots. Like, it's going to be sick. So stay tuned for whenever I do a race recap. It should be awesome. Coming in the next couple of weeks. And then there's a bigger race that I have planned that's almost a 100K, so it's like 57-ish miles. That one is in May. So what comes on the backside of this 50K is going to be more intense training and even more building into the toughest challenge of I could say 100% that will be the toughest challenge of my entire life so far, 25 years in. That will be it. I mean, mentally, physically, emotionally, I'm sure I'm going to feel it all. What we have planned in May, and I plan to also try to get as much footage from that as well and document that one too. That one is going to be wild. So I'm pumped for that. But that said, that's how we did it. That's how we trained for this 50K. Nothing insane. I'm not training 75 hours a week, but it's at least an hour a day. At least an hour a day, throw in some extra hikes here and there, throw in some small 2-a-days, and maybe, an hour and a half, 2 hours a day, here and there, some longer runs, 2.5 hours max. And that's what got me, to where I feel like I am the most fit I have ever been, which is kind of cool to feel that way. I feel great. So we'll see if I feel that way after the race, and we'll see how the race feels compared to the last one. Thanks so much for watching. If you're still here, you're freaking awesome. I appreciate you. Maybe leave a like, maybe thumbs up the video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.